What is up, guys? It's Sam here from Market Movers, and today I'm just going to have a look at what 22 has in store for us. And should you get involved in the markets if you haven't already? What are the best places to do this? What are the risks that are going to be coming up in the next year? And what is actually my thoughts on where the markets are going? So I'm just going to get into all that in this video. I hope you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out an awful lot. We've had a great first year on YouTube, and look, we have a good few projects coming up in the next year that we're really excited about, and we want everyone that follow us to be involved in. And look, guys, this is going to be a great year, I think, personally. So I'm just going to get into a few of the things that are coming up and where you can invest and where you can start as a beginner. So guys, without further ado, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. As I already said, if you want to get some free cryptocurrencies, check out the Nexo and BlockFi links that are down below, and also our sponsor, which is 35mm Vintage. Make sure you check him out as well, which is all linked down below in the description. So let's get straight into the video on what 2022 has in store for us. So firstly, I'm going to get into why you should start investing in 2022 if you haven't already. So there's a couple of factors that I just kind of want to briefly touch on, and main one at the moment that is kind of touching on people's heads is actually high inflation. So in Ireland, we're going to have an inflation rate between 5 to 6% on the last year, which is pretty crazy compared to the average. You try to keep it at around 2%. So we are riding pretty high. But this is actually a lot lower when you look at the US or maybe even the Eurozone. It's actually higher in some other places, but this means that your cash is becoming worth less and less every year at a more dramatic rate than it usually would. So it would motivate you more to basically to invest in assets that can basically match with inflation or even beat inflation, so you actually continue to make money, because basically cash is the worst asset that there is. It's always losing you money. So that's just the first thing I want to kind of cover. Also, wealth growth. So everyone wants to make more money and be richer in the long run. And if you're basically just doing it off your own income and saving cash, you're actually losing money, as I just covered. And if you're invested, you're going to be growing your wealth over the period of time. You're going to basically be, if you save 500 euros a month over 40 years compared to if you invest 500 euros at an average return of the S&P of 8% to 10%, like, it's a startling difference. Like, I don't know. Basically, if you're doing it over 40 years, like, you're going to end up with over $1 million based on that rate. But if you're just saving it in cash, it's going to be significantly less than that. So look, that's a lot of the motivations as well. You're setting yourself up. And this is what the final point is. You're ultimately going to be gaining financial freedom through investing in different assets. Like, so that is kind of the end goal personally for myself, is to be financially free and be able to go on your own and basically just kind of do what you want and as you please. And that's kind of the way you want to live your life. So through investing, that's what I'm trying to do. And I think it should be a goal for a lot of people, is become financially literate, financially free, and basically to invest in assets that are always going to be producing you money. So that's kind of why I think you should start investing in 2022. So now you're probably wondering, what assets should I actually be purchasing in 2022? So basically, I have some that I'm kind of thinking about, or I do previously own, or if you're not in anything at all, these are some of the options that you can potentially start to look at. So we kind of start with crypto. So crypto is a very high risk, it's very speculative kind of asset to own. It's a very high risk reward, but there's also the risk of losing it all. So basically, you would really want to research the projects that you are getting involved in. Generally, I do think that Ethereum is generally the long-term winner, and that's my main crypto that I do have. So that's the one that I kind of go with. So yeah, like, if you want to take on a really high-risk asset, then you could definitely be looking at cryptocurrencies to try and see which one will be the next Bitcoin or Ethereum, and that's something that you'll need to look into yourself. So also then as well, you're looking at growth stocks. So these are kind of high to medium kind of risk, and they don't move as much as cryptocurrencies, but they can equally just be down 50-60%, and they can be up to 300% in a very short space of time. So these are very volatile stocks, which do present a high risk reward as well, and they're just a bit less risky than buying cryptocurrencies. So that's why they are another option to start with as well. So also then you have value stocks, which are the lower risk, kind of medium to low risk stocks. You get the likes of these would be your Berkshire Hathaway, even your Googles, your Facebook, Apple value stocks. Then you're looking at like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan's, Lloyd's Banking Group. They're the kind of ones that you'd be looking at as your low risk stocks to purchase. And then also you'd have the ETFs, which basically mirror the S&P 500. They do world ETFs that take an average of all of the world stock markets. So you're really narrowing your risk there. But generally, the main one that people go with is the Vanguard S&P 500. So that's one that you should be considering if you just want a low risk, don't want to be checking your portfolio, don't be researching companies. That's something you should be looking at as well, would be the S&P 500 index funds, and it's marked by like iShares, which are BlackRock and Vanguard as well. And then also finally would be real estate. So you probably know, obviously Gino has a real estate property in Clonmel. I personally do not. It's something I would be wanting to look into, but obviously you have to get together a deposit. You obviously have to go for the application and all that kind of stuff. So it is more difficult to get involved in, but if that is one of your goals, is to get like a rental property to get passive income, then that is something that you should potentially be looking into. And if that's one of your goals for 2022, then you possibly have to start saving cash, unfortunately, to try and get to that point to have a deposit for it. But yeah, they're the assets that you can kind of start to look into for 2022. They're the ones that I would potentially I would look at if I hadn't started. They're the asset classes that you would be looking at. So guys, what are the risks that are coming in 2022? So there's a few kind of headwinds that we possibly might have to come across as we go further into the year. And the first one I want to cover is actually hyperinflation. So hyperinflation is just a major issue that means like companies' projected earnings in the future are going to be worth less than what they are currently. So I know I said like inflation, you need to buy assets because otherwise inflation will destroy your savings, but hyperinflation is a different story again. So basically all these predicted earnings and the costs of everything is all kind of thrown out because hyperinflation makes things so expensive so quickly that it basically will just eradicate savings, and also predicted earnings and cash flows of all these companies is all kind of thrown out the window to a degree. So it's definitely a risk, as we have printed like a crazy amount of money in the last year, and the Fed's balance sheet is absolutely huge with like billions and billions of dollars more than what it had previously. So basically, that is a risk. But I think basically as they start to increase interest rates, which is another risk that I want to get into, so they're going to be increasing interest rates over the next year. So basically to combat inflation, interest rates are going to go up, so money will not be as cheap to borrow. And this is basically a risk to kind of high growth stocks that rely to get on cheap money to expand their companies. So if you're exposed to a lot of growth stocks, they potentially might get hit by this. And also cryptocurrencies, so people take out loans and they do a lot of leverage positions and stuff. Not having access to cheap money anymore is definitely a risk that needs to be thought about. But look, it's kind of a minor one. Really, like we all kind of know that interest rates have to go up to combat inflation, as they're pretty much at 0.1%. And I think the Bank of England is the first one recently that has indicated that interest rates are going up to 0.25. So yeah, that they're going to start bringing the money back in basically to combat inflation, but hopefully not derail the economy in the meantime. So look, that's also something to be thinking about. Also, you kind of have energy costs. So energy costs are going to the roof, especially in Europe, as we're kind of being political issues with Russia and the gas pipeline and oil coming in from Russia. There's issues there. So energy costs are going sky high in Europe, and also you have oil prices all around the world are going up as well. So these are issues that we do need to think about, as like costing of shipping and all that kind of stuff all adds to inflation. So yeah, the energy costs and how energy is managed is definitely going to be a risk that comes up in the next year, and hopefully we get through it pretty okay without the barrel of oil going to an absolutely crazy price. So this kind of ties into the inflation point as well. So yeah, like that is another one as well that we need to keep an eye on. And also the next risk is the supply chain issues that are going on all around the world. You've probably been affected by it if you're kind of seeing that you didn't get things in time for Christmas, or you might be seeing images of ports where there's like ships upon ships just waiting till they can get access to the port. These are all things that are going on all around the world. Like we've had personal experience, like in a project that we're working on at the moment, where we've had massive supply chain problems, and this is probably happening to a lot bigger to huge companies, and they're having issues this way. So yeah, there are a couple of risks that I think that potentially could affect us. And then also there is COVID-19 and whatever that brings with it. We know what it brings is lockdowns, and look, we won't really get into it, but yeah, that is another risk that could potentially derail all of the markets as well. So guys, look, that's kind of wraps up what I think are potentially risks coming into 2022. So guys, if you haven't started investing yet and you're just wondering how can I actually get started, well, you can get started very, very easily these days as well. So if you're looking to get potentially educated, to understand what it is about investing, there's lots and lots of free resources that you can get, be it on YouTube, reading articles online, kind of understanding what the general market is around the world. There's lots of different ways to basically freely educate yourself on how it is and how the markets work. Also, if you're looking to basically start with getting invested in stocks, you have very, very easy access to ones here in Ireland. You have Trading 212, you've got Revolut, you've got DeGiro, you've got eToro, Plus 500. There's lots of different ways to get involved with the stock market. Really, there's a lot of ways you can take advantage of this. So look, there's no boundaries to entry anymore, and a lot of these, they operate at a very low fee basis as well. So they're very, very cheap to set up and very, very cheap to get going. So yeah, look, if you are looking to get involved in them, and you don't know how, you can give us a message on Instagram and whatever, and we will help you as much as possible if you're looking to get set up on any of the trading brokerages. And the main ones that we do use though is Trading 212 for all of our stock purchases. If you're looking to get involved in crypto, it's the same kind of situation. It's very, very easy to do. It's just different applications that do it. So the main ones you kind of use with Coinbase, Crypto.com, you've got Binance. You've also got on Revolut, but you don't kind of technically own it on Revolut. You can't transfer it off it. So it's kind of a bit of a disadvantage compared to the other ones, and you can move them around wherever you want pretty much. If you want to buy NFTs, you want to put them into an interest earning account, which you can with Nexo. Remember, the link is down in the description. They're all kind of ones that you can use as well. Nexo you can use to buy it too, but generally the exchanges are a bit better for that. So guys, that's kind of literally just gives a little bit of a synopsis how you can get started in investing in stocks and cryptocurrencies. So my final thoughts on 2022 are overall quite bullish in general. I think the economy is in a very, very good place, apart from certain sectors like hospitality. Entertainment sector is not in a great shape, but other than that, you've got the tech sector, pharma, they're all doing extremely well. So I think, look, there's a couple of headwinds that can alter or derail us for a certain amount anyway, but overall I think we're going to have a good return in the stock market next year. Obviously, cryptocurrencies is coming with risks. I'm quite bullish for the start of the year, but there is talks potentially people think that they might end up being in a crypto winter sometime in 2022. Although the amount of money that would have to leave the crypto space is absolutely crazy. To get a crash like we got in 2017, you're talking of this is a 2 trillion nearly market cap. If you wanted to drop 80% to 400 billion, that's a lot of money to leave the system, and where is that money going to go? You also kind of think about it that way. So I don't think we're going to get a crazy sell-off like that, but you can definitely expect to nearly get some 40-50% drops in the year to come, as it is an extremely volatile asset class. Also, the mass adoption of crypto is extremely bullish. The users are multiplying. It's the fastest growing asset class out there among all people. So it's really getting headwind, and it's really growing. So yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how it does pan out over the next year. I think also for stocks, there's a lot of opportunities in the small to mid cap stocks. So you're talking under around a 10 billion market cap. They've also kind of been devastated towards the end of this year. So there is a lot of opportunities there as well. If you're looking to pick up some stocks that are actually trading quite cheaply to where they were last January or this time last year, they're trading very cheap compared to that. And also I'm going to be looking into expanding into markets outside the US. So potentially looking at some stocks in European markets, just as they're generally completely way undervalued compared to US stocks. So yeah, that's going to be something that I'm potentially going to be looking at to try and get more diversification and more exposure to European markets. And guys, I'm just going to finish on this. We've got an extremely exciting project that myself, Gino, and another person has been working on over the last few months, and we're going to be bringing it out hopefully in the new year, all going well. And look, we want everyone to kind of get behind us and get a bit of support for us as well. And look, we'll see you once we get that launched and get it ready. And look, thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed this and you're kind of getting ready for what 2022 can bring you. Whether you're getting started in the market, you've been in it for a while, do let us know. And look, we can assist anyone that basically doesn't know how to set up their accounts, or they're wondering what to do or where to start. So no worries, you can give a message and we'll answer any questions. So guys, have a happy new year, and I will see you in the new year.